So I'm going to try to keep this a short little video talking about two knives that I bought today at Roots Country Market in Manheim, Pennsylvania. It's a farmer's market or flea market, you know, whatever you want to call it. It's like a normal farmer's market. You have like the produce stands and the baked goods stands, stuff like that. And then you have the people selling like miscellaneous junk. So I'm over in the miscellaneous junk stuff because that's the stuff that interests me the most. You know, I'm looking for old pocket knives and, you know, anything else that's cool. And there were quite a few pocket knives. A lot of them were Chinese made copies of Buck 110s or Swiss Army knives, which I'm not interested in. There were quite a few knives that had blades broken. There was a Imperial Camp King that didn't have a main blade on it, and there was another knife that didn't have a blade that somebody was trying to sell, so I didn't want those, obviously. But the first knife that I came across, and both of these knives I got from the same guy, actually. He had a little box full of a bunch of pocket knives. And the first knife that caught my eye was this old Camillus camp knife, or scout knife, you know, whatever it would be called. I think it's just a camp knife because I think the scout knife would have some sort of marking on it. But anyway, the whole reason that I wanted this knife was just because of this old style can opener. This is what came before the Swiss Army knife can opener and the safety can opener that whoever came up with that put out. Uh, this is what was before that, and then there's another style one that was also used, but I saw this and I wanted this knife pretty much immediately. You know, if the guy didn't want too much for it. There was no price tag on this knife, so I didn't know how much he wanted. The main blade has been sharpened a bunch. I just sharpened it again today to put a edge on it because I might actually carry this knife at some point. This knife also has a bottle opener flathead screwdriver and a reamer. The only real problem with this knife is sometimes the reamer and the blade want to live in the same area and they bump into each other. So you just have to be kind of careful about that. The covers appear to be made out of bone, and the jigging on the bone looks really nice, I think. The bolsters have, you know, patina on them and stuff. The bail is bent. I don't really care about that, but you know. But anyway, it turns out the guy wanted $5 for this knife, and I thought that was fair. So I bought this knife for $5, and I'm pretty happy with that. The second knife I almost missed, which would have sucked because it's really cool, is this old Barlow. And it kind of seems like I'm collecting Barlows. I haven't really been trying to collect Barlows, I just seem to be getting more Barlows. So I guess I'm collecting Barlows now. But anyway, this is you know, an old Barlow made by York Cutlery. That's what it says on the tang. It has York Cutlery, Solergen, Germany. You know, however you pronounce that word. You probably know what I'm talking about if you're watching this video. Uh, but yeah, so I don't know who York Cutlery is, but the knife they made seems to be put together really well. The main blade here, you can see it's got plenty of patina on it and stuff, you know, because it's an old knife. The main blade has been sharpened quite a bit, it seems like. The blade has absolutely no play, and the back spring on it's really strong still. This knife closes like a friggin' bear trap, so don't have your fingers in the way. Secondary pen blade doesn't look like it was used that much, which is kind of cool. Again, no blade play and not quite as bear trappy as the main blade because, you know, it's a smaller back spring. But the knife, even after all this time, which, I mean, I don't know how old this knife is, but after all these years, it's still put together really well. Like, this knife is held up really well. The covers, I believe, are bone or some sort of extremely dense plastic material. They're heavy, they're thick, which is one of the reasons why I wanted this knife. Because it reminds me of a lot of the older Barlows that I've seen in other videos. Charlie Campagna, I believe is his name. The guy who pretty much came up with the TC Barlow and does the factory orders for the TC Barlow. That guy has a huge Barlow collection, and I've watched Apostle P's video on that, and I've seen knives that kind of looked like this in that video, which I think is one of the main reasons why I wanted this knife, is just because, you know, it was an old Barlow and it reminded me of knives that I saw in Charlie Campagna's collection. But anyway, so the guy wanted $10 for this, so I paid $10 for it. So I got both of these knives for $15, which I thought was pretty fair. I don't know what you could get them for on eBay. I don't really care. But yeah, so two new old knives to add to my knife collection, we'll call it. Yeah, I just thought, you know, I figured I would make a little video about this because I thought that both of these knives were pretty cool. So anyway, if you watched this video, you know, let me know about any cool finds that you found at farmers markets or flea markets, or, you know, maybe even on eBay, uh, down in the comments. I would like to hear about them.